Key figures to speak at the Jerusalem Post conference in New York. Negotiating teams meet again in efforts to uphold the peace talks. The IDF strikes sites in Gaza in response to weekend rocket fire. And celeb chef Lam Biasi shows us how to cut an onion without tears. Shalom and welcome to the Jerusalem Post News, our top stories for Sunday, April 6th. The Jerusalem Post conference on Israel, the US and the new Middle East begins today in New York City. Key speakers at the conference include Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman, US New Jersey Senator Robert Menendez and Minister of Tourism Uzi Landau and Israeli UN Ambassador Ron Prosser. President Shimon Peres gave an address ahead of the conference.
Some of the great institutions of Israel were born before the state was established. The Hebrew University, the Technion, the Weizmann Institute, the Philharmonic Orchestra, and among them I would count the Jerusalem Post. It has the same taste that brought Israel to be what she is.
And you can watch the full address from President Peres and the conference, which is being streamed live on our website. Both Israeli and Palestinian negotiating teams were set to meet today as intense efforts to salvage the disintegrating peace talks continue. Prime Minister Netanyahu warned today the unilateral steps taken by the Palestinians last week will be answered with unilateral steps by Israel. He added the Israelis are willing to continue negotiations, but that they will not do so at any price. Speaking on Channel 2 this past weekend, Israel's chief negotiator, Justice Minister Tzipi Livni, said, quote, "The last few months have mainly been about negotiations between Israel and the United States, and less with the Palestinians." Livni argued the Israelis need to push for more direct meetings and negotiations with the Palestinians themselves. And Chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat stressed the talks must be upheld and that they still want a two-state solution. Over the weekend, Israel officially called off what was to be the final prisoners' release, having stalled on going ahead with it the weekend before, which prompted the Palestinians to also break their side of the deal by going ahead with formal applications to join UN-affiliated international agencies last week. Clashes occurred between Palestinian protesters and Israeli security forces outside Ofer prison in the West Bank on Friday. The IDF targeted 4 sites in the Gaza Strip early this morning in response to a rocket fired from the Strip, which exploded in open territory in the Ashkelon Coast Regional Council on Saturday night. No injuries or damage were reported. Earlier on Thursday night, the IDF struck 5 other sites in the Strip after Gazan militants fired 4 rockets towards Sderot and surrounding communities in the south. The projectiles failed to reach their targets, landing in open territory near the border with Gaza. And in case you missed it, cutting an onion can be a real tear-jerking experience, but celebrity chef Yohanan Lam Biasi shows us that you can chop an onion without fear of shedding a tear.
Going all the way down. Don't you have to press too hard? Now that's also another big thing. If you press too hard, that's going to bruise the onion. I take the knife again and I cut it horizontally. Now you can see that the onion is totally connected, but at the same time it's like a little concertina, okay? That means that it's all together. I'm not even crying. It's not making me cry, guys, because I've got a great knife and I sliced it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now turn it 90 degrees and I'm going to, with the knife, I'm going to sort of glide the knife over and through the onion. Now look at that, that's amazing. I'm not even crying, and look, I've got beautiful, beautiful cut. I'm not making a mess, and then I've got all these onions.
And you can watch Lam Biasi's exuberant cooking displays in full every Thursday on jpost.com. That's it, we're back tomorrow with more main headlines. Until then, shalom from the Jerusalem Post studio.